Hello, 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 and welcome to our call. Well, this isn't a call really, it's just a chat between myself and lovely Melissa. So, why? Why am I chatting to Melissa today? Well, Melissa's a lovely, lovely lady, and I love chatting with her. But basically, I wanted to introduce her to you because we have beautiful fast track to health and drop weight release guides already. So we've got beautiful Sarah Lepashera, we've got Julia Wolf, we've got Raywin Mitchell, and now we have the lovely Melissa Pond. And it's actually we have got a great story to share with you, haven't we, Melissa, about how we met
Yes.
actually in little old pie here. And Melissa is from the States.
Mhm.
So, Melissa, would you like to share our story because it's a really great one?
It is a great one. So I absolutely love visiting New Zealand. In 2019, it was my second trip to New Zealand, and we were just wandering around Bahia, and there were these darling little puppies in a store window. So we had to go
Yeah,
in and play with the puppies. I had been sailing the day before, so I was horribly sunburned. So Karen immediately was like, "Oh, let me help you with that." And
yeah,
that led to this beautiful conversation because I was in the throes of menopause at the time and not sleeping and having horrible hot flashes. And so my travel buddies said, "We're going to let you two chat." And they went on the way.
yeah.
And we,
Yeah, it was a really, and so just as a backstory, at the time I had a shop called Vitality, and where I had herbal remedies and my other homeopathics and essences and things like that. So carry on. Sorry, Melissa.
oh no, that was, I mean, I just was in such a mess health-wise at that time. And so we got to talking all things, nutrition and how to manage my menopause symptoms. And
Yeah,
I did end up going and doing the quantum essence, which was very impactful. And then we've just, I mean, the joys of Facebook, there's a lot of good and bad about Facebook, but this is my favorite part. We were able to stay connected all these years. So,
yeah, and it's been great because although we dip into our lives occasionally in and out and in and out, and we weaved, and then of course we met again
we
before
did.
Christmas. Melissa was up in Bahia again,
I
which
was
was
visiting my
absolutely
favorite.
gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah,
Visiting
so
my
it's
favorite
really,
beach town again.
yeah. And so it's great to sort of reconnect. But the great thing Melissa didn't share with me very much when we first met was her backstory of health and wellness. And I think that's something that, after all, you've been in nursing for over 20 years, haven't
Yeah.
you?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have.
So
And I have spent most of my career doing case management style nursing. So I've never been in a hospital, never done any of that. It's all been outpatient and really working one-on-one with people that had multiple chronic conditions. Over the years, I've been specialized in diabetes and heart failure and, all different chronic conditions. And then it was actually in 2018. I'd seen some colleagues go through some major health issues and they chose a path away from pharmaceuticals. And they went on a new, basically a food as medicine program. And it was amazing to me that this young woman who was facing liver failure from all of the pharmaceuticals she was on for her rheumatoid arthritis became pain-free, was able to move about her house. And so that's what really got me interested in like, there's got to be a better way than what we're doing here in the medical field. And so I decided I wanted to be on the side of healthcare and wellness versus sick care, which I'd been in for, 15 years at that point. So I chose to study functional nutrition here in the States. And I don't know if I've ever shared this, but I had just graduated. So I think I was in New Zealand in September or October in 2019, and I had just graduated from that program in like July. So I was very fresh out of that.
Very new. And yeah, so would you say that the functional nutrition that you got taught within outside of the sort of medical
Medical.
field,
Yeah,
is it very different to the nutrition that was being spouted in the medical field?
very much. Yes.
Yeah.
And I had always leaned a little bit towards more naturopathic type care, even for my kids when they were younger, and, even for myself. But this was like opening things wide open, going to
Mm.
so often in standard medicine, we're just treating the symptoms. And this was like digging deep, into why are the symptoms even presenting themselves, and really getting to the core of how the body is supposed to work. And
Yeah.
how
So
it's food.
getting from very similar angle to what I've always been taught was finding the root cause.
Yes, very root cause, which I love finding, just peeling back all the layers to like, this is your symptom, but there's these five things beneath it that we gotta
Yeah.
peel
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
to start the healing process.
So when you observed this beautiful soul who had healed herself basically from rheumatoid arthritis using food,
Yep.
what's the thing that, apart from the fact that she was medicine free
Hmm.
and thing, so was it just basically you knew then that that's where you wanted to go? That's the angle of your
Yeah,
life that you wanted to help people.
exactly. Yeah, I had been kind of at odds with like, I just don't feel like this is the right path. Like, we're just teaching people how to be better at being sick, rather than teaching people how to not get sick,
Yeah.
ideally,
Yeah.
or to regain health. We were just like, here's how you manage these symptoms and all the side effects from all the medications we're giving you. And nobody ever said, let's talk about what it would look like to be healthy and have true health.
Yeah. I love when you said that as a better at being sick.
Yeah, we really were just helping them be
Because I'd
better.
never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Hmm. Like, here's all these,
So
we had all these action plans for when your blood sugar changed, or if you were sick, or, a heart failure, if they had weight gain, we had action plans. Like, this is how you're better at being sick. So, rather
yeah,
than, and so you don't overuse the system, right? We want to keep you out of the hospital and out of the doctor's office and out of all these things. So, but it wasn't really about making the person healthier. It was just making them better at being sick.
yeah, fantastic. That's a fantastic way of describing it because we see these health shuttles,
Hmm.
and I always say they should be called sickness shuttles because
Hmm.
they're basically taking them from the doctors or to the doctors to the hospital. How is that a
Hmm.
healthcare shuttle?
Yeah.
Because it's so not. It's such a I mean, we could go very political, but we won't, Melissa. We're
We
gonna
won't do
stick in our lane. But
that.
basically, I think that's the difference between natural health and allopathic health.
Hmm.
Well, natural health's health, and allopathic is sickness. So
It's there.
basically, I think they're so diametrically opposed, aren't they?
They are. Yep, they
Mm.
are.
Yeah. And so, by the way, my puppies were in my shop because they were puppies and I didn't want to leave them at home. So I wasn't selling puppies. They were
Oh
my dog.
goodness, no.
I just thought about that. I thought,
They
oh,
were just
okay.
these little tiny guys in the window.
Yeah, they were dinky winky, weren't they? They were cute. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's so when we look at your symptoms with menopause, if you look
Oh.
back now
Hmm.
with hindsight,
Oh.
what would you say was the root of that? I'm putting you on the spot here. Um,
Oh.
you know,
The root of it. So I had been through, I was somewhat in denial. Some of my nutrition training was like, I'll be able to fix myself, um,
mm,
from, these symptoms I was having. But I had, uh, I had gone. from being extremely healthy. I was a distance runner. I had run, I think it was in 2015, I did 7 half marathons in 6 months and was all this driven. And I got to the point where I couldn't even exercise. Like I had zero energy to do anything. I mean, if I did force myself to exercise, I was literally, I could hardly get out of bed for a couple days. Um, and when I did find out that I had a thyroid, I have Hashimoto's, so autoimmune thyroid. So that was a huge piece of it. I'd had an ovary removed, but that I never played into it. And then an absolutely unbelievable amount of stress that I didn't
Yeah,
that I
yeah. And so
didn't recognize.
stress, as in emotional stress and
Mm.
work stress, and then we got the stress of actually doing those long runs.
Yes. Hmm.
And so you're not taking into account when you do those long runs of how much impact that has on our adrenals.
Yes.
Eh? Because we've always been taught, and I know you sort of the same sort of age group, is we were always taught running is healthy,
Yeah.
right?
It's so
And
stressful.
most of the time, even though I was trained in nutrition, doing exercise and everything, never even thought of supplementing after a session or before a session of magnesium, for example,
Oh
or
yeah.
even salt, replenishing that salt that we lose when we sweat. We never got taught that.
It was
And
always sugar. I can't tell you how many gross packs of gooey sugar or gooey, that I ate during those years. Plus, at that time, I didn't realize that I had a big sensitivity to gluten. So I'm doing all that running and doing, like every good runner, I'm carb loading,
yeah,
day in and
with
day
pizza
out,
and yeah,
day in and
yeah,
day out. Yeah.
yeah,
And there would be mornings where I was like, how can I be quite literally, the best shape of my life, at that time I thought, and I can hardly get out of bed. Like I feel like my
yeah,
spine hurts. I was so horribly inflamed from, the gluten, from the stress on my body, from the running and not nourishing it properly,
yeah,
before and after. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I was forcing myself to do that. And then
yeah.
it
And
was,
then we wonder about menopause, don't we?
oh, yeah. And then, yeah.
you know um and I know, Melissa, you know this already, but for anyone who's watching this, is when we hit menopause and our adrenals are already stressed,
Hmm.
what happens in our body is, we this is very simplified, is basically, as the ovaries close down, we still have to make those hormones that the ovaries make. So we need the estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, and the adrenals take over making them. And so if you've already got overworked adrenals anyway, and
Yeah.
even, Hashimoto's, there's quite a link between adrenals and the thyroid interaction.
Yeah.
But you've got that. So if you can imagine, your adrenals already like got a full-time job, they're
Hmm.
working 24/7. And now they've got another full-time job on top of it. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, the ovaries are always creating hormones. They don't go, oh well, we're going to have a rest now. We're going to have a holiday. You know, just
Yes.
just because estrogen is being, at certain parts of the cycle we need more estrogen. That doesn't mean that progesterone doesn't get made. It's just a sort of interplay. But so they're always working. So you've got, basically, it's like having a job where two people are doing very different jobs and they're busy all the time, and then you make one redundant and the other one has to take over.
Hmm. And I think I had been, well, I was clearly in adrenal fatigue,
Mm. Yeah,
and I had been running in adrenal fatigue for many years. And then when my ovaries were like, we're out, then, it was just way too much. And then
yeah,
like my body just took me down. Like I
yeah.
just couldn't.
Just didn't want to play anymore. Just
No,
couldn't play
I
anymore because it
couldn't.
had
I
no
couldn't. Yeah.
vitality.
I went
Yeah.
from adrenal fatigue to full on adrenal exhaustion, and
Yeah.
I just didn't have anything left in my body to make anything.
Nothing left in the tank. Yes.
Nope. Hmm.
Yeah. And so basically, when I met you, you always look beautiful. You've always looked beautiful. Um, but I know that the exhaustion was very difficult to cope with.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And
It's very good.
as well as not, exhausted, not being able to sleep as well.
Mhm. And I was on holiday when I met you.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was still, so those life stressors were low, but it was like just even engaging in, because we were busy doing something every day, and it was just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
There's actually we're taught not to stop, really, aren't we? As
Hmm.
women, especially,
Yeah.
And so it was so great that you took on board the quantum essences. So
Hmm.
if we some of people watching this won't know quantum essences. I created a range of essences in 2011 for people who were on my programs, as I found there was a lot of emotional stuff that came
Hmm.
up. And so the quantum essences were there as a support. And so there's a variety of different names for them, like there's feminine essence, trauma essence, transformation essence, self-discipline, blah, 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 blah. So we
Hmm.
started with 21 and now we have 26. And
Oh,
so when Melissa came into my shop, we were encouraging people to get like a mini pack of these. I think you had got 25, didn't you? 25?
I think it was
25, 25?
25, 20 or
Yeah, because we got
25.
a new one added in.
Hmm.
Um, so it's 25. And basically we encouraged everyone to take them, start from one and go through them with one remedy a week.
Hmm.
And so that was what we got practitioners to do when we were training practitioners, and we got such amazing results. And
Hmm.
so consequently, that's how we sold them in the shop. And yeah, would you like to share how that went for you?
Oh, it was very powerful. The one that probably impacted me the most, and I have caught myself revisiting this, it was femininity. So,
Yeah,
I had always walked away from, pushed away anything feminine. Like I was never going to do anything that was a female-based, career. I was always going to do something else. I was a tomboy. I was, very much into sports and things like that. Just didn't want anything to do with anything that was classic feminine. And through the first time I kind of came to grips with that, and I also thought feminine was weak, like weak and soft and all these things. And it was working through that essence with feminine that I realized, I had never put, Mother Earth, I'd never put all this like female positive, strong energy together. And
yeah,
so that like opened up a whole new world for me. And then more recently revisited that and connected it back to like some childhood trauma and how, like why I went into that spot that I thought
yeah,
feminine was so bad. And so, going through that process of healing that little girl who felt she couldn't be powerful and feminine or strong and feminine, she had to choose. So
yeah.
that's been a beautiful, and it's taken years. It wasn't just the week, just doing
No,
the
no,
week of the essence, right? Kind of opened that door and opened the channel for me to be aware and think differently and realize that there's a lot of power in being feminine and, the
very much so, very
beauty
much
of
so.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's what so many women feel. And I think, it's going through the essences, although they've got different names, they just work on enhancing our best selves
Hmm. Yeah.
and releasing anything that doesn't serve us. That's
Mhm.
how I feel about them anyway. And so yeah. So okay. So you did the weight release stuff. Did you do fast
Mhm.
track to health or did you just do the drop weight drops?
I did fast track to health as
Yeah, I
well.
thought you did. Yeah, I thought you
Yep.
had. Yes,
Hmm.
that was a while ago, wasn't it?
It has been a while ago,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
it was it was amazing too.
Well,
Yes.
you were an amazing participant because you stuck to it,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
yes, I love I mean it's funny. My mom lived with me for about 2 years. She has dementia. And she told everybody all I ever fed her was chicken and salad because I just have, it's just, it works for me. High protein is just, I feel so much better all. And I've gone through that, many times before this program earlier in my life. And I always went back to the carbs and stuff. And then finally, I'm just like, why do I do this? I have more energy. I feel better. I think
yeah,
clearer when I, stick to more protein. So it
I
feels good
think
to feel good.
that's because I feel this is how I feel. I don't know about you, Melissa. Is I feel that if you just sort of work on the food, you're always going to come back to old habits that
Yeah.
keep you in a habit.
Hmm.
It's when we start working on the emotional, physical, and spiritual sides of us
Yeah.
that we're able to then actually stick to a health regime
Yep.
that really serves us. And it doesn't mean to say that you have to stick to it rigidly when you have birthdays or but anything like that. But if you're sticking to it because it makes you feel good,
Hmm.
you're less likely to deviate from it because,
Yeah.
I give myself permission once a week to eat what I like, but most of the time I don't eat any of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Because then it's like, oh, if you don't feel good that day or the next couple days, it's like, was it worth
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I do too. I mean, you still have to, you still have to have balance, I think, right? You
mm,
just can't be like super rigid. There's some balance in it, but when
yeah.
going, when eating things that I know don't agree with me, it's like I'm
Yeah.
feeling bad for 2 days. But I think the other piece in that for me has been if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to have that, whatever it is, I'm trying to think what I really love. Mm, I mean, probably a flourless chocolate cake, like that would be my indulgent, right? If I'm gonna have that, I'm not gonna do anything else when I'm eating it. Like every part of me is gonna enjoy that. I'm gonna enjoy the
Yeah.
texture, the taste, it's gonna be an experience
Yeah.
and then move on from it, you know?
And not feel guilt after it
And
because
no
guilt
guilt.
has, the
No.
negative emotion of oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, how many times have you done that? You've been on a program or something and you go, oh, I've deviated. Oh God, this, I've mucked it up. So I'll just
Mhm.
go and have more.
Yeah. And when you can break that cycle, you go, yep, I
Yeah.
deviated. I felt, quote unquote, fell off the wagon. Well, you don't have to
Yeah.
stay. You don't have to stay on the ground for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You
Yeah.
can just go like, okay, I fell off. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Nothing.
it's basically, I've had one thing. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
go and I'll just keep going
Yep.
and keep on my road. And I think that's the thing we encourage. And let's face it, that's the reason why we have people like yourself to help guide people through this process.
Mhm.
Because it's so much easier when you've got someone to talk to about things. And I know you have a passion within this field.
Mhm.
And so maybe you can share with us because I know that, you've been on this journey for a while, with your health and your weight and everything else. So I know that you have a real, not a niche, but something I know that everyone can relate to who've been on this journey.
Yeah. It's not living in, not having shame and guilt drive your existence, like to release, especially around, I think for women, there's so much pressure on weight and appearance and like all the guilt that gets wrapped up in that and all the childhood trauma. And it's like, how do we heal from the inside to just let everything else, because then your true self comes out. That healthy you is in there, underneath shame and guilt and all the things that we pile on ourselves. And so it's like lifting that out and releasing that to let your true self out. And
Yeah, and that is just a really, really important component because I see it with women all the time. You know, I felt it myself is like the guilt of actually doing a program and it not working
Mhm.
and feeling that it was my fault.
Yeah. Hmm.
And in actual fact, it wasn't my fault at all. It just wasn't a program that really suited me and my body.
Exactly. And getting to know, and we do have to clear, you kind of have to clear the slate when you've been piling on emotion and guilt and weight and, all the other things, the stress, all those things. You do have to kind of clear the slate. And for us, that's the anti-inflammatory diet, right? That's like just
Yeah.
calm everything down so that we can start pulling out those healthy pieces and realizing what health can feel like and look like. And
And I think, doing the low inflammatory is a really great level playing field so that we can it's much easier when you're in that state of low inflammatory, the body is ready then
yeah. Hmm.
to do the healing work.
Because it's
And
not
that's
so
emotional and
busy
physical. Yeah.
trying to regulate
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not piling all of this stuff all on top of one another. So you're unburdening the body
Hmm.
from stress and the majority of what we're talking about with the low inflammatory is low inflammatory food.
Hmm.
And so basically if we can release that, then the body has the vitality to
Hmm.
start working on the other stuff, and having guidance with people like Melissa and Julia and Sarah and Raywin is basically then your work is so much easier both sides.
Yeah.
So the client's easier and the the guide is easier because everything starts working better.
Hmm. Well,
And
and
so I
success breeds momentum, and momentum breeds
yeah,
success.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
that's right. and
yeah, this
and
very
and if you have
positive.
a wobble, then it becomes obvious where the wobble comes from, you
Yeah.
know
And
and
when you
so
have that
that's
kind of support, when you wobble, you've got somebody to either pick you up or just kind
yeah,
of help you, right you in the wobble before it turns into a fall. You're just wobbling on
yeah,
the wagon instead of falling off the wagon.
yeah, because I mean we all know that making changes can be so hard.
Mhm.
Our body resists change. Well, our limbic brain
Yeah, I
resists
was gonna say even our
change, and
brain,
so
yeah.
yeah, so we've got that, and then we have a lot of um people around us who can be also like our limbic brain saying, no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't
Mhm.
do that, or da 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 da. Da. But when you know in your heart that something's working, it's much easier, isn't it? And when you've got some support. And so the
Mhm.
support is a really important thing. And I think we've learned that much more over the last, well, probably the last 6 years. I think humanity's learned that we actually need
We need
community
each other. Yeah.
and we need support. And the great thing with Melissa, even though you're over the other side of the world, we can still do this. And
Yes,
it's so
yes.
good.
This is again,
Yeah,
one of the amazing things about technology that we are living in
it
right now.
really is. And so we're very blessed to be here. And I feel very blessed to have a support team around the clients that come to us and we're all uniquely different. And so
Mhm.
that's the thing. If you're attracted to Melissa with the trauma around, and the guilt and shame around um, weight and illness and everything. So then Melissa would be a person who you'd probably work with. So if you're drawn to anyone, then that's, and what we will do soon, I'm just going to put this out there, I haven't really talked about it, is we will have all of the guides all in a recording like this, where we can get everyone together, and then we can chinwag about their expertise and where everyone fits together. And so I can only speak for myself, but I don't see any of it as competition. Don't see
Oh.
it as the, I know the lovely ladies don't see it as competition. It's all about you,
Mhm.
the watcher of this video. If you're watching this video, we're talking about you.
Yeah.
So
I think of us as like the I want to say parachute, but it's like a reverse parachute, right? It's like as you're going through the program, you feel like you're walking a tight wire or a high wire. Like we're like that soft landing below. Like if you wobble or you fall off, you need that encouragement between all of us that are guides. Like we're there to pick you up as you stumble or have
yeah,
questions or challenges.
yeah, that's fantastic way of putting it, and I think that's a fantastic way of ending this. And so, unless Melissa, you've got anything you would like to have last words, how can people get hold of you?
Right now, it would be reaching out through the challenge groups,
Right.
and or on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook through the groups.
And we have a new platform that's off of Facebook, and it's a school, and I'll put the link below this video. And Melissa is going to be there too. So we've got it's got a chat forum, and it's got, not, I don't like to call them, they're classrooms. So we've got everything, we're going to have everything really well organized. We're just starting to build it. So the next challenge, we do 30-day challenges every couple of months. The next challenge starts in March, but we're going to have mini releases in between. So we've got a mini release starting, I think, next week, which is I think it's the 8th or something. 9th,
8th, 9th,
starting
yeah.
on the so basically the 9th in New Zealand, the 8th in
Yeah, we do
America.
this mental gymnastics.
Yeah, that's right. so so whereabouts in the States are you, Melissa?
So I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. So
It's
uh,
a different time to other parts of the States, hey?
yeah, we do this strange because we don't do the daylight savings time here in Arizona, or at least in this pocket of Arizona. So when the rest of the world changes time, we don't do it. So then we're
Uh,
off with the rest of the world for a few months, and then it's
We
great.
can cope with that.
Yeah.
Google tells us anyway, doesn't it? So it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And
Great.
I think the only thing I would add before we wrap up is that one of the reasons I wanted to join you was because so often with the time change, like I can't make the meetings because they're at an odd
Yeah.
time for me. So, offering also an opportunity to meet with somebody if you are in a different time zone that works better. So another.
Yeah, so and that would be great to be able to offer yet another live Zoom, so that
Mhm.
we can offer it at a different time of day, because we are talking in New Zealand. When we started at 3 p.m.
Mhm.
and on Monday, and Melissa, you were 8
7
p.m.,
p.m. 7
7
p.m.
p.m.
on
on,
Sunday.
yeah. So, and so basically, yeah, so yeah, so we'll work at a time where
Yeah.
Melissa will be leading her groups eventually
Yeah.
when she's
Or,
ready.
for people that are maybe don't do a regular day shift, that need
Yeah,
access
yeah,
to support at a different time of day, might work out perfectly.
absolutely. Well, it will always work out perfectly.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, thank you very much for joining us. It's so exciting,
Yay. It's so great to
and
be here.
look forward to seeing you in the groups and seeing you up in Facebook a little bit more.
Yes. Sounds wonderful.
Much
Thank you,
love.
Kim. Mwah.
Bye.